Friends, indulging in negative behaviors, such as gossiping, criticizing, and harboring jealousy can hinder your progress and happiness. These actions significantly impact your life. Can destiny ever be altered? In today's beautiful story, you'll discover whether what is written before our birth can be erased. If you want to know all this, then please listen to this beautiful story till the end. This story is very educational, important, and enlightening. It is a story from ancient times. In a village, there lived a poor farmer named Karan. Only he and his wife lived in his family. After a long time, a son was born in the farmer's house. The farmer and his wife were very happy. People from around came to congratulate the farmer. One morning, a sage called out for alms outside the farmer's house. It was a day of happiness in the farmer's house. So he invited the sage inside and asked him to sit. Once the sage was seated, the farmer said to the sage, "Mahatmaji, after a long time, a child has been born in our house. Please name him." As soon as the sage took the child in his arms, he noticed a mark on the child's arm which indicated royal fortune. Seeing the mark on the child's arm, the sage was surprised. When the farmer saw the sage surprised, he asked, "Mahatmaji, what is the matter? Why do you look so worried?" The sage said, "Son, I am not worried. I am very happy because your son is very lucky. He has a royal fortune written in his fate." The farmer said, "Mahatmaji, I do not understand what you are saying. What do you mean?" The sage said, "Son, your son will become a king one day. He will marry the princess of this kingdom at the age of 16, and then he will become the king of this city." Hearing this, Karan was very happy. When the villagers heard that Karan's son would become the king of this city one day, they all started coming to see him. One day, the king of that city went hunting for a deer and went deep into the forest. But the deer eluded the king. The king became thirsty while chasing the deer, but the king did not find any river or pond nearby where he could drink water. The king wandered in the forest for a long time, searching for water. The king reached the village where Karan lived. Just then, the king saw a sage. The king asked the sage for water. The sage asked the king to wait and went inside his hut to get water. The sage brought water and gave it to the king. The king started drinking the water. After drinking the water, the king saw many people gathered outside. The king asked the sage about those people. The sage said, "All these people are going to Karan's house because a very fortunate child was born there, and a sage has made a prophecy about him." The king asked, "Baba, what prophecy has been made that all these people are going there?" The sage said, "The sage has predicted that when Karan's son turns 16, he will marry the princess of this kingdom and become the king." Hearing this, the king became very angry and said, "How can the son of an ordinary farmer marry my daughter?" The king said to the sage, "Baba, I am the king of this kingdom. Do you think I will let my daughter marry the son of an ordinary farmer?" The sage said, "King, no one can erase what is written in this child's fate." The king, full of pride in his power, said, "Baba, I will erase what God has written." The sage smiled and said, "King, I am here and you are here. Let's see." The king bowed to the sage and returned to his palace. The next morning, the king sent his soldiers to Karan's house to take the child away. When the soldiers reached Karan's house, they told Karan, "The king has called for your son." Hearing this, Karan's heart sank, and his wife started crying. Karan tried to ask why, but the soldiers did not answer. The soldiers took the child away. The king's minister ordered the soldiers to put the child in a box and throw it in the river. The soldiers obeyed the minister's orders and threw the child in the river. The box floated down the river and reached a village. A childless fisherman lived there. He saw the box floating and brought it to the shore. The fisherman opened the box and saw a beautiful child inside. Seeing the child, the fisherman was very happy and took him home. The fisherman and his wife decided to raise the child as their own. Years passed and the child grew up to be a handsome young man. One day, the king's daughter went to the river for a bath with her friends. At that time, the fisherman's son was also near the river. The princess saw him and immediately fell in love with him. The princess asked her maid to find out who the young man was. The maid went to the fisherman's house and learned that the young man was his adopted son. The maid told the princess everything. The princess fell deeply in love with the fisherman's son and told her father she wanted to marry him. The king became very angry and said, "How can you marry a fisherman's son?" The princess replied, "Father, if I cannot marry him, I will remain unmarried for the rest of my life." The king had no choice but to agree to the marriage. The wedding took place, and the fisherman's son married the princess. After the marriage, the king gave his throne to his son-in-law. The fisherman's son became the king of the city, just as the sage had predicted. Thus, what was written in his fate could not be erased by anyone. The moral of the story is that no one can change what is written in our fate. Friends, if you like this story, please subscribe to our channel for more such stories.